UDS Tulsa proved one thing about this format. It's not yet solved, and to be honest, I doubt that it ever will be. With so many awesome decks out there looking to make a name for himself, and then on top of that, so many other checks and balances to set powerful decks, this seems to be an open format where anything can compete. In this particular video, we're going to be breaking down the events of UDS Tulsa, the top decks, and why they won. Of course, as you know, I'm TheCaliEffect, so let's jump on in. I was really close to saying destroy that subscribe button and hit that notification bell because, you know, we just too strong, but yeah. Okay guys, so of course, if you want to see more videos like this, then destroy that like button. But also let us know down below in the comment section if you guys want to hear what are the best decks of the format. I'll be sure to make a follow-up video afterward. The first thing we want to talk about is the winner of the UDS event, the Rokket deck profile. As you guys can see right here, and I can see right here, the Rokket deck was a really interesting build as it was genuinely a Rokket deck, running multiple copies of Apsarouter Dragon, as well as some other Rokket cards. The deck was primarily built on making boards that the opponent couldn't break. And I think that it was really smart because no one is maining Nibiru in this current format. There are so many decks that can make Apollousa before their 5th summon. Being able to main Nibiru sometimes just isn't a smart thing, meaning that Rockets can actually be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Another thing that was sad at UDS Tulsa is that people weren't playing Nibiru at all. So a lot of times Rokket were allowed to go uninterrupted to build their boards. Now, do I think Rokket is the best deck of the format because it won UDS Tulsa? I think that this build is really good, but I wouldn't say it's the best deck. As you can also see, this deck actually has a lot of good things going for it. The usage of Cosmic Cyclone allows you to banish some of those pivotal spell cards and never see them again. Also, when you take into factor the hand traps that it run, main boarding Duel and Lockbird, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, as well as Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, he was well prepared to go second inside of a deck that wants to go first and still be able to make plays. Duel and Lockbird can completely lock out your opponent's entire turn. And while I don't necessarily believe in Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, it is the most generic hand trap, being able to cover all of its bases. I think this Rokket deck is really fun to play. I'm actually would be interested in doing a live duel in it after, of course, we get that Shaddoll duel. Moving on towards this young man's side deck, there were some cards that I found really peculiar. No, not the Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. That card is just amazing. It's a really good synchro monster, but the card that I found really interesting was Anti-Spell Fragrance, a card that can completely shut out spell heavy decks. But the most important thing about it is that your opponent wouldn't be able to activate Pendulum Scales if Anti-Spell Fragrance is face up, because Pendulum spells cannot be activated face down. This is an excellent counter for Lunalight decks, but I think that maybe it was just used to slow the opponent down, or maybe it could have been used against Lunalight to prevent Lunalight Tiger from activating inside of the scale. Another thing I do want to point out is Dark Ruler No More, which is an amazing card against Break My Board type decks. Typically these Break My Board type decks don't have any answer to Dark Ruler No More because they're all monster effects. They never tend to back it up with a spell or trap negation. Dark Ruler No More completely shuts out their board and allows Dragon Rokket Link to make its play. The extra deck seems pretty standard. I do love that it does run the Tenye monster. It is a card that I have hyped that you guys should buy before it goes up in price, and it's a very powerful card inside of this format. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. Congratulations to the winner. I am not even going to attempt to say your name because I will completely butcher it. But again, congratulations, and I hope to see more Rokket Dragon decks in the future inside of the top cut. Okay guys, so I'm going to attempt to say it. Shu Ping Zhu. Did I say it right? Did I say it right? I didn't say it right? I probably didn't say it right. Alright, go ahead and just let me know how I'm supposed to say it. I think an interesting take from UDS Tulsa is Spyral. It had the most tops in top 32, but was only able to secure one spot in top 4. Spyral isn't a bad deck. It seems to do really well during the event, but once it goes against some of the other strategies, ones that are more well versed by better players and are well equipped, the deck seems to struggle. And the crazy thing about that is that it's probably the answer to Yu-Gi-Oh right now. everything can be countered no matter what you play. Let's look at Ruben Panaranda's Spyral scrap build and discuss it. His Scrap Recycler is an amazing card. That is probably the best normal summon a Scrap deck can do, or a Spyral deck can do, because if you're allowed to pop off with your Scrap combo, you can get a free Curious or even a free Appaloosa to your side of the field before your 5th summon, or if they hand trap the Curious, it doesn't mean anything. When you're going second, your Scrap Wyvern can destroy some of your opponent's cards, which is just another powerful thing that the strategy can do. Another great thing to talk about is the Scrap Spyral hand trap lineup. Running 2 copies of DD Crow, 2 copies of Duel Bird, and 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is seen to be the best hand trap of the format. Against the Luna matchup, it can not only hit Luna like Tiger, it can also hit Time Thief Redoer before it can resolve. It has so many applications against the Spyral matchup, but the best one is hitting Double Helix. Against Solomon Great, using that Ghost Ogre or that Lady Debug can practically end their entire turn. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit may just hands down be the best hand trap in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game because it does stop some of the biggest decks. DD Crow is also an amazing card too because it's not a hard once per turn. You can use this card successfully after another to banish multiples of your opponent's cards if you have multiple cards in your hand. And while Joel Lockbird was regrettable due to his words he'd rather run Infinite Impermanence, it's still really good against the Spyral Mirror match. There aren't too many decks that are heavily reliant on the search, but in the Spyral Mirror match, if you just so happen to draw them going game 1, you can pretty much secure the rest of the game going forward. The deck is pretty straightforward, and I really don't have much to say about it, but I do think that a low-key MVP card would be Mind Control. Mind Control is just bananas right now, being able to take your opponent's monster, whether it's a Shaddoll Window so you can immediately use for a Link, or a Solomon Great Sunlight Wolf so they can't use their effects of their rage, or in the Spyral Mirror match to be able to take their Appaloosa, to be able to negate their disruptions is just really good. I think that Mind Control should be a card that most players should consider playing inside of their deck because it's just too strong right now. Dino is the third strategy we could talk about by Scott the Dino God. Like, seriously, are we still doing that? I guess, I mean, it's cute. His build was rather unique. I think that not playing the pills is an excellent idea when you don't play any hand traps because hand traps are trash. We've been saying this for a while. I mean, granted they have their spots, but ultimately, why play a hand trap when you can break your opponent's board? This is exactly what Scott did. With 3 copies of Evenly Matched, 2 Lightning Storm, double Mind Control, and a Mystic Mine, there was almost no way that your opponent is going to make a board that dinos can't break. Especially since dinos can naturally break boards. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno can attack every single one of your opponent's monsters once. You guys should know this right now. And Dogoran the Mad Flame Kaiju is a Kaiju monster that the Dino strategy can search. The deck doesn't rely on the extra deck, so Shaddoll Fusion isn't a card that can be used properly unless they use it on a true King of all calamities, which means that they're not going to be able to get any of their effects. I think that this Dino deck was built relatively well. The lack of hand traps means that you don't have to use pill, and that doesn't matter because whatever board your opponent makes, you can probably break it, and that's why the Dino deck tops so high. Shaddolls are the new meta, ladies and gentlemen, and actually is a good check and balance for the card game. Not only did it make second place at a pretty big event on the day after its release, it's also a really powerful deck. Carl Minigot's build is rather interesting, running 3 copies of almost every good Shaddoll, and then 2 copies of the okay Shaddoll, which is Dragon, and then running Pot of Desires. This guy really wants to get into his fusion cards, but here is where it gets a little spicy. Super Polymerization is an amazing board breaking card, but can also be used on your Shaddoll cards for a play if you really need it. The fact that he only runs 2 copies of Shaddoll Construct lets you know that he's not here for the combo. He's not trying to make that super Appaloosa board. He's here just to break boards, make Boral Sword, and go for game. But if you guys are hip to the Appaloosa Winda Abyss Dweller board, then go ahead and check out my video. It kind of shows how Shaddoll can go first and be a terror. I do think that there are multiple correct ways to play Shaddoll, and of course Kyle's topping build is proof of that, because there was another Shaddoll build that looked nothing like this that topped. It shows that you can run the Invoked engine, you can run without the Invoked engine, you can do pretty much whatever you want with the Shaddoll strategy, as long as you're summoning Winda to destroy your opponent. With that being said, I think we still have a relatively healthy format. Spyral is commanding a sort of lead, but it's not the best deck of the format. It just so happens to have more tops than anyone, but seems to fail in big moments. Kinda reminds me of a few other decks. Following behind Spyral, Shaddoll has an insanely powerful Spyral matchup. If going first, you have that Shaddoll window that prevents them from special summoning multiple times. The deck is also immune to certain hand traps like Duel and Lockbird, seeing that it doesn't search a lot. Going second, it has Shaddoll Fusion, and the opponent is more often than not going to have those monsters from the extra deck. And then you have a cute checking counter to the Shaddoll strategy inside of Dino. Now, Dino is still pretty decent against Shaddoll if you play those going second cards like Mystic Mine and Evenly Matched, but it will really shine against a Shaddoll strategy. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno can attack that Shaddoll window, but more importantly, if you build the deck right, you don't need to go into your extra deck, so you're not punished by Shaddoll Fusion. From there, you have a host of other decks that are extremely powerful as well. There's Lunalight, Mech Knight, Salamine Great. There are so many strategies inside of this format that can make a name for themselves, are really powerful, and have their own perks. Again, if you guys want to see the best decks of the format, me explaining why these decks are so powerful and what they can do to the format, then of course go ahead and like this video and comment down below in the comment section. I ultimately think that this format is still so wide open, almost anything can compete. I mean, a deck like Rockets did just completely take the meta by storm and could be a contender inside of this format, even when players are main decking that Nibiru. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one, and I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.